IIBA chapter, because you've all helped me through those certifications with your classes and all the support and training that you've given me. So I am very much proud and supporting your chapter here. Hopefully this will be an interactive session. As you can tell from my chats here, I just I'll kind of say it as I see it, and there's humor, and if you've got questions, please ask them. And if Ann or Aaron, I'm not seeing there's a question in chat or whatever, please just stop and ask, and we can talk about those things. Let's see, go to the next slide. As Ann mentioned, I kind of started out my career in tech writing, wrote some software manuals for small companies, and then found out I was doing BA work, although I didn't really understand those terms until I found in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis area, there was a BA, IIBA chapter, and met the people there, and then realized, oh, I'm a BA. I'm actually doing these things, and so learned some of those terms. In 2008, in August 2008, I was introduced to Salesforce, and I fell in love with that Salesforce platform, and just have been continuing to use it since then, and continuing to learn. I do have a ton of certifications, but I don't know if it was on accident. When I was laid off in 2015, and started to call around to get jobs, and I would get down to the final 3 candidates, and then I was told, well, tell me about your certifications. And I'd say, well, I don't have any certifications. Oh, well, sorry. And then that would be the end of our interview. So I knew that I had to get some certifications. I started out with the first 4 that the peers had recommended to me, and then I just continued from there. I just kind of kept studying and getting credentials and certifications. But I think that probably the hardest and the one that I'm really most proud of is the CBAP certification, because it really, to me, denotes not only that I can study and take that test, but it also shows years of service, and that I understand the craft, and so I'm really definitely proud of that. The other thing I want to say is that parts of this session here, I'm actually going to talk to the students at the St. Paul School District. So I'm on a tech ed board, the CTE Tech and Continuing Education Board for the St. Paul School District. And one of the things that they continue to ask is what credentials can students get in their career path. And they do Cisco certifications, Microsoft certifications, A+ certifications on the hardware side. And as you'll see, Salesforce just announced a new certification that's a beginner certification that I'm going to try and introduce to the high school students that I work with, and see if that's something that will help propel their careers and get them to have some internships and apprenticeships. All right. So what is Salesforce? I'll give you this is the clinical answer. Salesforce is a cloud-based CRM platform. It is software as a service. You don't own it, you rent it. It is specialized in customer relationship management. And so if you go Google online, this is the answer you're going to get, that companies use Salesforce to understand their customers, connect with them, and grow their customer base. It's more than that. This is where they started as kind of a sales enablement tool. but it is more than that. It is a platform, not only for selling to a customer and servicing to a customer, but really to handle and build out a lot of services for their customers. When I think about what Salesforce is, I look at it from business enablement. And what do I mean from that? I work at a financial services company right now, and I look at it from the capabilities that our company needs or does. So the life cycle of our company starts out at the marketing side. We have brand management. We do marketing operations, strategy and planning, and we have a lot of data. We deal with data management and segmenting that data to understand who our customers are and putting our, whether they're suspects, prospects, actual customers, and what that customer life cycle is. We handle a lot of different data, and so all of these capabilities in the financial services world, we are handling on the Salesforce platform in some ways, whether they go from our leads into our prospects, then they become a customer. And as a customer, they have different things that we will engage with them on, deposits and lending, different services. We do handle customer support. Right now, I'm the architect in the call center. So I'm working, shadowing the call center agents with how do we deal with customers? How can we make our customer center agents' lives better? And then this renew and grow. How do we keep and retain our customers over the life cycle? So when we look at this map of what does Salesforce do on the financial service side for my company, I look at this and I see BA. I see the business analyst side of it. There's not a lot of like technical architect stuff going on here, but behind the scenes there is. You need to understand the business side of it to really understand what are the pieces that Salesforce is going to build in order to make these things happen. So as soon as you understand this kind of journey of where you want to take your customer and what you can do on Salesforce, then you do look at the technical side. And so this is a technical architecture map of that Salesforce platform and the different things that it provides. So it does have integration to the back-end data systems. So in our world, we have core banking systems that have those data sources, and Salesforce provides integration methods to those data sources. Salesforce provides analytics and intelligence engines that will do transformation, some insights on that data, some natural language processing, machine learning. These are all parts of things that come with the Salesforce platform to really look at that data and see, are there patterns? Are there some alerts or things that the advisor or the agent, in our case, needs to know? And then there are some automation pieces, the platform enablers. It can do some automation, some business process management, some workflows that, sorry. Technology issue, sorry, that you can engage. These are all, again, on on the platform itself. And then when you get into different business capabilities, there are specific capabilities on the marketing. So they have a marketing cloud or marketing services, sales, and they call everything clouds in Salesforce. They name everything as clouds. So the sales cloud, we don't use financial services cloud in our org, but we do have sales cloud. And that's where our advisors do their opportunities to manage their sales deals for their clients. And we also use Service Cloud to handle cases and tickets that come in from our clients and manage any sort of service items. And there are a number of different clouds that exist on this platform. And this is the most recent map of all of the different capabilities that come off or out of the box from Salesforce. Everything from this huge list of all the marketing capabilities, sales and configure price quote capabilities, and sales is where they started way back when, 20 years ago. They have their own commerce, so commerce selling, products cloud, experience cloud. This is kind of the portal if you need now they used to call it community, a place for your customers to gather on a website, or your partners to gather to be able to share information. Customers like Hulu use it for their knowledge base and to share help with each other. They have their own analytics cloud. Well, they do reporting and deep dive information into analytics. Service Cloud, where you do case management and service for customers. And then they have different industry clouds that they are starting up, financial services, healthcare, and so on. There's all of that, plus there is this ability to develop your own. So within their platform, they have these development environments that you can build your own software on top of their platform for your own custom needs. That's a lot of information, and hopefully that made sense of like, what is Salesforce? Salesforce is it is online, like sales, service, marketing software, but it's also this platform in which you can build your own software on it. I don't know if there's any questions with that, but if there are, let me know. The one thing to know is that because it is software as a service, you don't own software. It's not really software. It's online, and you can think of it like a condominium in a huge tower. You have space in this tower, and you share your resources of the CPU, the scheduling. If you're going to do long batch commands or data entry or things like that, you're sharing this space with other enterprise customers, mom and pop shops. Anyone that is a Salesforce customer may share your node with you. The way they have the resources set up, this is your secure space, and no one else can get to it, and that is yours. But it's not something that you can take the hard drive out and take it as yours. It's part of the big Salesforce community. And there are some advantages to that. One is that you don't have to maintain the software. Salesforce does upgrades to their software 3 times a year. And so they're constantly updating things. They're constantly building new features, new configurations, and they're listening to the customers as they're needing more changes, or if there's security fixes, things like that. And there's a great community of people who you can share information with and learn from because you're all on the same platform. I've mentioned G's on the call. Since we both work on the platform, if there are issues that someone is happening, whether they're here or around the world, we can meet together in a community or get on a call and talk about those issues. And even though we don't work at the same company, we understand the problems that we're going through and have similar ideas around those issues. So what kind of decisions do BAs get involved with? Pretty much everything. At our company, when business needs a new capability, a new function, we start with the BAs. We say, well, we need the BAs to meet with the business side to really understand what the stakeholders want. What is the context? We go through that system. The latest projects that that my team has worked on have been these kind of things. Simple things like we need to add a new field to a screen or an app. And that might be a very simple question, but really this is changing the code behind the scenes. And so there are some specific questions and concerns that I always have whenever you add anything to a screen that involves some overhead. And so I'll ask the question of, well, why are you doing that? But then there's other bigger questions like understand when you want to configure, extend, and replace. So because Salesforce has its own software out of the box, you can configure it. A lot of times they actually have the answer for you already built. And there are other times where their software out of the box, it really doesn't fit our needs. I would rather not use what they give us out of the box and replace it with something that my developers will build over the top of that. And that will give us tech debt, yes, because we have to now own it and maintain it, but it also gives us innovation over our competition. And the BA teams, they lead those discussions. They get involved and get all the right stakeholders involved. And just to remind you, so the BA role at Salesforce and at Salesforce clients is the same BA role everywhere. Your job is to enable change at the enterprise level and define the needs and recommend solutions that will deliver value to the stakeholders. So that comes right out of the BA BOC, and it's true at Salesforce and at Salesforce customers. So then the other question is, why are Salesforce BAs in demand right now? And it's interesting. I've got one word for you, and that's COVID. This was all kind of happening, and then the pandemic hit, and then everything started to like accelerate. And there are some studies here that that happened by the IDC that really show it, that the cloud and security issues for the business leader side was happening. That cloud security, workforce, employee issues, these issues were on the rise. Even, sorry. Even before, Uh, all right. Sorry about that. Only on call on Zoom calls does my headset go flaky on me. Okay, but these issues were already starting to increase, but then during the pandemic, then these issues really started to rise, and businesses started to invest in the cloud technology and security technology, and looking at how to deal with workforce and employee issues of hybrid working, remote working, and this was becoming a real technology investment area. And COVID really accelerated this. And what businesses found is that the challenges of digital transformation really accelerated during COVID-19. And they found that the issues were really in the employee area and in funding, but this whole implementing new tech and automation, those challenges were less because they were moving into cloud computing. They found cloud computing to be the answer, moving away from the installed apps at the desktop to now let's move our systems into the cloud. And so these cloud platforms like Amazon Web Services, Salesforce, etc., now are on the rise. And so there's a need for looking at not only BAs. There's really a rise for all sorts of resources in those cloud areas. The other thing that's happening is that when organizations like Salesforce and their enterprise architecture groups go to businesses to talk about how do we transform your architecture and build out a good roadmap to take your current state into a future state, they realize that they have to start with the business architecture. They can't just start with the technical architecture. And so this comes from Allison Park. She's done several talks on this, and I actually had a chance to meet with her at the Dreamforce conference this year, and we talked through this quite a bit. The enterprise architecture group at Salesforce, they use something like this internally and with their own customers. And when they look at enterprise architecture, they start with business architecture. They look at what's the company's business strategy, the mission and vision of a company. They look at their capabilities, their business capability map, and what are the gaps of that business. And then they use that to move into the technology architecture. They'll say, what's the current state of your technical systems? What do you want that future state to be? And they need this in order to understand the future state. And then they'll use that to build a roadmap and then do a business value assessment. This is really interesting to me because as we dove into it, we saw this map and a little bit different view of it. So here's that that first step of that looking at the business value, and then the that customer map, the capabilities, and then current state, future state, roadmap, and business value. It's the same map, just looking at it from the side. And then we looked at, well, how do you map this out? Well, they showed me this. I'm like, wait a second. I've seen that before. I remember studying that when I did my CBAP test. This thing here is really familiar to me. And sure enough, the business model canvas. So the business model canvas is what they use to understand enterprise architecture for their Salesforce customers. And then it hit me, oh, why am I not doing this? This is something that, of course, when I first looked at it years ago, I didn't really understand it. And so because I didn't understand it, I didn't use it. But now that I see how it's being used in practice, it makes more sense. And so I'm going to take a little diversion in this talk about Salesforce to kind of talk about how to use the business model canvas in a little bit different way. But through this, I learned how to use the business model canvas. And you start with the customer segment. You always start with the customer. And that I've learned over the last few years. So this little guide here, and I'll leave this with you, will help you to understand the business model canvas better. When you use this canvas, you can use it by yourself as a guide to help you understand the business, help you map it out, or you can use it like in a war room or on a Miro page to collaborate with your others in your team to talk about, do we understand the business, what the business is trying to do? You can do it either at the start of a project or in the middle of a project. But you'll ask these questions. In your business, who are your different customers? That's where you start. And then you talk about the value. For your customers, what is the value that you're proposing? What are you actually doing for those customers? And then you talk about what kind of relationships do you have with those customers? How do you get those customers? How do you maintain those customers? What is it that you're doing to get those? And then the channels. What are the channels? How do you reach them? What ways in which do they want to be spoken to or met? And how do you deliver those products to them? And then you'd look over on this side and you say you've got key partnerships. Most companies have partnerships on through shipping or through how they market their products. And then what are the key resources that do those things? These key resources can be people, it can be assets, it could be intellectual property, and those key resources do specific activities that create that value proposition that are going to your customers. And what are those key activities? And the customers that are having the value are going to give you a revenue stream. These are the revenue stream is how those customers are paying for things. And the key resources and key activities comes down to this cost structure of what are the costs of your organization. Really interesting way of looking at the way that the business is run. And so what do you do with that? Well, you fill it out, then you look at the story around it. So where do you have harmony, disruption, innovation gaps? You'll look at the front stage of with our customers, how are we handling our customers? Do we have any gaps? Do we have any disruptions here? In the backstage, how are we creating the product? How are we delivering the service? Do we have innovation here? Do we have harmony in the way that we do this? When we look at the product itself, is this product have great value? Would it have more value if we did something different? You really look at that story and you think about how it's adding value to its customers, and then you can look at the profit by looking at the revenue and the cost. And that, let's see, I want to go back because all of that then leads back to with that information, then you can build out your personas. You can create your customer journey maps. You would have the ability to create your capability map and gap. And so with that, you'd have the full understanding of that business architecture. So where are BAs needed in Salesforce? Like everywhere. We need good BAs. So for BA certification, this is the new one that just came out. This is kind of the beginner BA certification. It is for new Salesforce workers, 6 months of Salesforce user experience. It's a foundation knowledge of the core capabilities, and it is lower number of questions, 40 multiple choice questions. I think it's usually a three choice questions. So this was this is something that I did to help kind of with the students that I'm going to be speaking with in the Minneapolis area, to look at numbers of jobs on Indeed.com. So I was looking at just Salesforce roles in general that are available right now on Indeed.com. And this was kind of like Salesforce intern, Salesforce associate, and I got around 37 hits. And that was like last week that I did that. The step up from that, Salesforce administrator, it's someone that would have probably more than 6 months. I would say probably a year of experience. This is a little bit of a tougher test, requires more study. And again, I did a search, local, 10 openings right now on Indeed.com in the Twin Cities area. And there is, and we'll talk about the study for this. There's quite a bit of study resources for all of these certifications. The two new tests that came out this year, one is the Salesforce Strategy Designer. This Strategy Designer really talks a lot about BA topics. There's a lot of facilitation and consulting skills, but a lot of it talks about things like jobs to be done, and how to best facilitate a project. There were a lot of BA-like skills that were talked about during this Strategy Designer certification. So it's something that I would really have any sort of BA look at. And then this last one that came out this year is the Salesforce BA certification. The one thing that it does require, the prerequisite, is the Salesforce Certified Admin credential. And that was added on there. There was a request that the Salesforce BA be knowledgeable enough about Salesforce that they have that Salesforce admin credential in their tool belt before they go for the BA exam. And so it is kind of a level up from the admin certification at the Salesforce side. Let's see, where to learn more. So to learn more, everything is going to be free. So they have a site called trailhead.com. It's a free learning site. You can sign up. And when you sign up, I would recommend you sign up with your own email address. Don't use your company email address because anything that you gain as far as learning modules and badges and things like that, you will keep with you as your own. And also you can get your own developer sandbox. So that's your own Salesforce org. And you can do that also for free. It doesn't cost anything to do that. Oh, where did that go? So these are two links that I would recommend. When you go through Trailhead, it's broken up into small bite-sized modules. So you might choose a trail, and I've got a trail that I'll probably recommend to you. I'll send those in my notes. And then each module has units, and those units will say how many minutes they take. Most of them are around 10 minutes. Some of the more challenging ones are in like 20 minutes, but you'll know when you go into a module how long it's going to take you to complete those. Another way to gain Salesforce skills is you join a community. So like the IIBA chapters, Salesforce has communities. I help co-lead one. This one here is the Twin Cities community. We meet, right now we meet virtually every other month we meet. We're gonna have a meeting coming up in the next couple of weeks on a couple new features that Salesforce has added. And this thing, whatever, we'll get you to that page. And everything that you see, Salesforce loves these mascots. This is Astro. And so anytime you're in a Salesforce training site, or even when you log into Salesforce, you'll see these little mascots, and they're just supposed to be friendly little beasts, not to be scary, just to be friendly. So just so you know that. And then I've got some links on here, more information about some of the topics that we talked about, links to get to those certifications. And if you want more information about how the enterprise architecture works at Salesforce, for sure, we can dive into that. That is me talking. I'm done talking. Unless there's specific questions.
There's nothing in the chat box, so please feel free to raise any questions you may have. Stuart, fantastic job, great presentation. Aaron, did Aaron leave us? Oh no, he's still there. So
Aaron, there's another Aaron here.
Aaron Wittenberg. Will the attendees from today get an email with the link to the presentation?
Only if Stuart provides the presentation to me, but there will be a link to the recording.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Email tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'll get a follow-up email from Zoom for all those that attended here.
Yeah, I can send you the copy of the slides and the links in those two. Yep, for sure.
There is a question in the chat. Take that again.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Oh, this is from Jorge. He is taking the Salesforce BA certification exam tomorrow. Are there any last minute recommendations?
Well, yes, actually, I do. Let me. How do you like this? I'm doing something that is scary. If you can see my oh so crowded web browser, I'm going to go to Trailhead, And I guess the thing that I would say is that if you go out to trailhead.com and you go to the credentials, certifications, you find the business analyst certification. There's this link here called Get the Exam Guide. And this here, it talks all about the exam. And it tells you the following: the successful candidate has the knowledge, skills, and abilities outlined below. This is very specific for the test. You're still recording me, so that's fine. I'm gonna. This is for everybody. These words are not by accident. These words here are what you need to know for the test. The candidate is not expected to know these things. But let's see, the candidate should have hands-on experience for the following features, functions below. And so it'll break down each thing, each part of the test. So customer discovery, 17%. Collaboration with stakeholders, 24%. If you go through this page and review each line of this and honestly say, yep, I understand this sentence and understand how it's applied in Salesforce or in the BA role in Salesforce, I think you're going to be fine. If you look through these and you say, I don't know how to distinguish between requirements versus user stories and engage the business. If you think you're not quite ready for that, then I would look through Trailhead, or perhaps look through the help files in Salesforce and see if you can find more training, more information on that topic. But all Salesforce credential team is not trying to trick you. They are giving you all the information that you need that's going to be in the test on this page.
The answers to the test?
There are no answers. There are no answers to the test. But this is when they say there's going to be 17% of the test is on customer discovery. That is true. That is exactly what's on the test.
So George, I would ask or add to what Stuart just said from a general exam taking experience in that. These are exam taking tips that we offer in all of our study groups for the Bluegrass IIBA chapter. And the main thing I would say is get a good night's sleep beforehand. And so, be ready to take a test. I say be sober, and that's not saying not drunk. That is saying, ready, alert, ready to take an exam, have your thinking cap on, but get that good night's sleep beforehand, so you are alert and ready to take an exam.
Like the IIBA exams, they give you the ability to mark a question. So as you're going through the questions, you can answer the ones that you know. Like there are going to be questions like, I just know it. Answer those. And then there's questions that I don't know that I know that one. Mark it, flag it as to look at later. And at the end of the test, there'll be a page that shows all the questions, including the ones that you flagged. And you can go specifically back to those questions and review them. And you should have enough time to go back and review all those questions and make sure that you feel like you are secure in your answers.
So you can tell Stuart's been through our study groups because he's going through that. And one thing we recommend, and since you are able to flag them for review later, is take your exam in rounds. And as Stuart was saying, in first round, you're going to spend 5 to 10 seconds on each question. Read the question. Read, every word of the question. Look for those words that change the meaning of the question, like not, accept, things like that. Read every word of every answer option. So if there's 3 or 4 answer options, you read all of them. You don't, read the question, read A, read B, and go, oh, that was it. No, it wasn't B, it was C, but you didn't read that. So make sure you read them all. Then if you know it just like that, like Stuart was saying, answer it, move on. If you don't know it that fast, then flag it and move on. And then in round 2, you can spend a little bit more time. You can spend a minute or 2 on each question. You can start using process of elimination. You can use reasoning. If there's 3 answers there, it's not A, well, you just change your probability of getting it right from 33% to 50. If there's only 2 left. So, and if you spend a minute or 2 thinking about this and trying to reason through it, process of elimination, you still can't get it, leave it flagged and move on and get the semi-easy ones done in round 2. And it's up to you how many rounds you want to take it in, 3 or 4 rounds in that. But one thing also is never go back and change an answer. So in round 1, you got those, right off the bat, the ones you knew. Stick with your first gut. Don't go back and change that answer. And one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've not taken a Salesforce credential exam in that, but in the IIBA exams, you have a clock in front of your face, and it's counting down how much time you have left. And you generally know how many questions you got left to answer, whether it's 20 or 10 or 5. And at some point when that clock is running down, the last 5 minutes or something, it's time to get an answer on every question. Because if you don't answer it, it's wrong. If you get an answer on it, then your big fat hairy guess just might be right. So I see Stuart nodding.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. You'll have a clock in the corner, and it will tell you, how many questions you have left, for sure. Yep.
Okay. And how much time you have left.
Yep.
So George is also going for the agile analysis one next year. We'll have a study group for you, George. But yeah, so general exam taking thing, tips, just make sure you answer every question, because if you don't get an answer on it, it's absolutely wrong. If you get an answer on it, and there's at some point when you're down to the last 5 minutes, 2 minutes or whatever, it's quit reading, quit trying to reason through it, go answer them all B, or go answer them all C, something, just to get an answer on everything before you run out of time.
Yep.
Love the study groups. So there was a question from G up there. It was which IIBA certification to go for first? Take that, Stuart, or you want me?
It depends, right?
Yeah, that's an individual choice. And it depends, what environment are you working in? And there's several you could take first that don't require specific BA experience or agile. If you want the AAC that George is going to take next year, it doesn't require, it's targeted for people with 2.5 years of agile experience, but that's not a requirement. You could take it with absolutely no agile experience. You better know agile, but you could take training and understand the agile framework and still go sit for that exam. The product ownership one does not require product ownership analysis experience. Bill, I don't remember, does the business data analytics require?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think it requires
I don't remember it.
actual
requiring.
business data analytics requirement.
Okay.
The three core things for general business analysis is ECBA is the entry level, CCBA is the mid level, and then the CBAP is for your seasoned business analysts. And we got 4, I know here from the chapter, and Stuart and myself, Ann and Bill all have CBAPs. You do, that's not a stair step. You don't have to get the ECBA first, then the CCBA. It's how much experience. The ECBA does not require experience, BA experience. The CCBA requires 7,500 hours of BA experience over 4 years. Is that right? Not 4 years.
10.
No. Yeah, it's more than 4.
I think it was
Not
10.
10, it's 7.
7.
And the CBAP requires 7,500 hours in 10 years.
That's what I was thinking of.
So CCBA's 3,750 hours in 7 years. Got it. There's also additional requirements for experience as far as breadth and depth of your BA experience. So there's hand guides like Stuart was showing you on the IIBA website. But if you've got 5 years work experience, you've got the professional development training that is required that makes you eligible to sit for the CBAP, go and get that first. It's up to you. If you're working in an agile environment, you want the AAC or the product ownership analysis, go get that first. Completely up to the individual.
Yeah, the product ownership analysis I found very helpful for me, especially moving into an architect role. Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is just personal. What's the context that you're in? I would think the AAC is relevant to a lot of people right now.
Yeah, more and more companies moving to that agile and the moving from project centric mindset to a product, mindset, as a company. So, the product ownership one is becoming more and more valuable in that. So, but certainly a lot of company, my company is in our 3rd year of our agile journey. And so transitioning to agile is not a, simple thing and you flip a switch and you're done, or it takes 6 months and you're done. Most organizations take a whole lot longer than that. Like I said, we're on our 3rd year and not everything we do is agile. All right, we have any other questions in there? Anybody want to know anything else? You can put it in the chat. You can come off mute and use your voice.
I'd like to say one thing.
No.
So the most important thing about the certifications is just to pick one and do it. I mean, because once you do it and you realize you're capable of doing it, you become almost addicted with it of what's next. What am I going to do next? And it's a fantastic feeling when you accomplish it. You feel great. And it goes on your resume and you've got, it's just, it tells people also before they work with you that I kind of know what I'm doing in this wheelhouse because I've been tested and I've studied it.
And, I would say Bill knows what he's talking about here. I've seen him get 3 of the IIBA certifications in the last 4 years and that. So, but I would also add to that, do one at a time. We've had people take like 3 of our study groups in 1 year. It's like, and on the different topics, so, just if you want one of those core certifications, take our BABA study group and work on that till you get it. And then take another study group and go for another certification. Don't try to do them all at once here, because those couple people that I know have taken our study groups like back to back to back, they haven't gotten any of those certifications yet. And that, so pace yourself and go for one, get it done, and then go for another one.
Great.
Anything else? George, good luck on that. On both the Salesforce and the AAC.
Yeah, good luck.
Look for our study group for the AAC next year. We'll be offering it again. So let us know how you did. I'll be looking for it on LinkedIn. I know Stuart will.
Yeah, I want to see.
Yeah, tag us.
Yeah, definitely let me know.
All right. Anybody have anything else? Any other questions for Stuart? Ann or Bill?
Nothing for me.
General exam
I'm good.
questions. All right. Got to thank you.
Thank you again, Stuart.
help,
Everybody
bud.
have a good night.
Yes,
It's
thanks,
fun.
Stuart.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank-
great rest of your week.
You too. Bye now.